Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to take you through this today. We're going to be demystifying built-in roles in Microsoft Entra ID. So we're taking all those abstract security concepts you've probably heard about, and we're transforming them into actionable, real-world zero-trust practices. But first, I want you to picture this scenario for a second. If a hacker breaches your help desk, do they get the keys to your entire kingdom? Well, if your administrative roles aren't locked down properly, the answer is, unfortunately, yes. They absolutely do. That right there is the real-world stake of overprivileged users. It's exactly why mastering role-based access control isn't just a nice-to-have, it's an absolute necessity for your organization. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First principles, navigating Microsoft Entra ID, configuring role assignments, avoiding common role mistakes, SC300 exam scenarios, and we'll wrap up with a hands-on lab challenge. Section 1, First Principles. So before we even think about clicking a single button in Azure, we've got to get our critical foundation in place. We have 4 core identity pillars to work with. The user, right? That's the actual human. The group, which is just a collection of those users. The role, which defines exactly what a user is allowed to administer. And finally, the service principal, which is simply the identity of an app in your tenant. Understanding these distinctions, especially grasping that a service principal is really just an application acting as itself, is quite literally the bedrock of modern cloud security. Section 2, navigating Microsoft Entra ID. All right, now that our foundation is set, let's step straight into the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Specifically, we're looking at the Roles and Administrators blade. To get here, you just expand Azure Active Directory in the left navigation pane, and then expand Roles and Admins. Think of this as your main control center. There's really no getting lost in complex menus here. This is exactly where you go to search for a specific role, let's say Intune Administrator, and immediately see exactly who holds it. Section 3, configuring role assignments. Okay, we are moving out of the navigation phase and jumping into configuration, which is where the actual assignment magic happens. Here is a super clean 4-step workflow straight from the documentation. It's so logical, it almost feels too easy. You just click Add Assignments, you select a user or group, choose whether this assignment is active or eligible, and hit Assign. It's a really efficient sequence, and it lets you mentally map out the exact clicks you need to get your roles properly provisioned. Now, when Privileged Identity Management, or PM, is activated, you face a really crucial choice for those assignments: eligible versus active. Think of it like physical building security. An eligible assignment is basically like a temporary visitor pass. It's time-limited, it requires the user to actively request access, and it usually needs an administrator to confirm it. Active, on the other hand, that's like handing over the master key. It's immediate, and it's always on. So for a true zero-trust environment, eligible is absolutely what you want to aim for. So the crucial point here, and this is a massive pro tip, is this best practice. Always assign roles to Azure AD groups rather than individual users. Actually, scratch that. Even if that group currently only contains one single person, do it anyway. Why? Because it simplifies your ongoing administration immensely. When a user, let's call him Andrew, changes positions, you merely remove him from the admin group and add his replacement, Sally. It saves you from massive administrative headaches down the line. You just need to make sure you enable the Azure AD roles can be assigned to the group option when you first create it. Section 4, avoiding common role mistakes. Putting on my mentor hat for a minute, let's talk about the traps that generate absolute panic tickets for administrators. First up, expired bulk AED tokens embedded in provisioning packages. These usually expire after a month, and trust me, they will instantly cause a deployment failure. Second, missing Intune licenses. Without a license, your policies are completely invisible to users. We also see incorrectly assigned policies a lot, where users just never receive their settings. And finally, a huge security risk, assigning broad directory-wide roles instead of utilizing administrative units. To prevent those broad security risks, you can explicitly scope the application of a role. Now, what's really interesting about this is that changing the scope type from the default directory to an administrative unit, like a specific sales department, for example, is a total game changer. It means your regional help desk staff can only manage users within their specific unit. This safely prevents them from accidentally resetting the CEO's password and locking them out of their accounts on a Monday morning. Nobody wants that ticket. Section 5, SC300 exam scenarios. Exam alert. If you're preparing for your certification, here is a massive gotcha directly from the SC300 prep material. Azure AD roles versus Azure Resource roles. You absolutely must understand the difference here. Azure AD roles manage tenant-level permissions across the entire Microsoft 365 stack, things like users, groups, and licenses. They do not grant permissions to Azure resources hosted in Azure subscriptions, like virtual machines. Please, do not let this distinction trip you up on test day.
There are also three main application management roles you need to be able to differentiate. You have the application administrator, the application developer, and the cloud application administrator. While they all deal with app registrations, there's a really vital nuance here. The application developer creates registrations regardless of global user settings. But the vital difference between the other two, only the cloud application administrator is specifically restricted from managing the application proxy. That is a highly testable detail you need to remember.
But what happens when those built-in roles are still a bit too broad for your needs? Well, you can easily create custom roles right from the Roles and Administrators page just by selecting New Custom Role. This lets you define highly granular permissions, like creating a very specific expense approvers role, for instance. It ensures that users get exactly the access they need to do their jobs securely and absolutely nothing more. Zero Trust in action.
Section 6, the Hands-on Lab Challenge.
All right, it is time to take all this structured knowledge you've just absorbed and put it into practice. Here's your challenge. I want you to open your own demo tenant, create a custom role tailored specifically for application developers, and then successfully scope that role assignment to a single administrative unit. The real question is, can you do it in under 5 minutes? I highly encourage you to log in and prove your new Zero Trust mastery right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy configuring.